was a model for their heroes and could not have done what they could do without Ultraman. So if there's anything like that, if there's any impact that you're seeing.
Ken Sato, our hero in the movie, have possessed ultra power. And we also talked about his parents. And so Ken Sato's mother is a human and his father is an Ultraman. But that ultra being, we talked to Tsubara about, he is basically Dan Moriboshi from Ultra 7, and that's why our fandom for Ultra 7 is integrated into Ultraman Rising in that format. But we also said that Ken Sato, when he does become Ultraman, he hasn't fully understood what it means to possess that kind of power, and so he can't achieve the Ultra Beam species beam. And that he has to earn it, he has to learn to become a hero through sacrifice and not being it's really about how he lets go of his selfishness and becomes selfless, and it's that moment of discovery where he regains the true understanding, and that's when he's able to achieve that power.
And Ken doesn't know this about his father. His father never told him this. And what we wanted to do there was this idea that Ken feels like he's between two worlds, which is an experience that I know a lot of folks who immigrate to another country have. John had that experience. Nikiko Wakida is here with us today. I have a lot of team members from Ultraman Rising in the crowd today. But that experience of not quite feeling between the worlds, and Ken doesn't think his father understands it, but his father understands more than he can know because he literally came from another planet. He just never shared that with him. And that's the other lesson too, is certain generations have a hard time sharing their emotions and their experiences, but it in some ways deprives their children of real lessons and a shared experience. The example being in the first Ultraman series, it's a human and an alien merged into one. Ultra 7, Moriboshidan, is an alien who becomes human. So it's one and the same. So we felt and they felt that there was enough, because there had been such variation between the Ultra characters, that we could explore that. There were only a couple of things, like one of the discussions that we had was, typically the science team are the good guys. In our film, I made them, I don't even consider him a bad guy, but Dr. Onda wants the same thing that Ultraman wants. He wants to protect people from these creatures. He's just approaching it in a different way because he had a horrible experience in life that turned him. He wants to destroy, Ken wants to unite. So, but as long as that was the focus, it helped us through it. We just constantly discussed with them and worked with them, and they were absolutely incredible partners on the film.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. So I guess that the universal theme, regardless of Ultraman, Ultra 7 or whatever that came up, including Ultraman Rising, is that love and peace, and the belief that you should not defeat, you should not kill other living creatures unless you need to. And this question is for Director Koreeda. Is that because the initial members of the crew were born before the war, and they wanted to make sure that the world would be kept in peace and no war, no killing without any cause? So it seems like the consistent theme or belief on the part of the creative team. Do you agree? Or?
殺してはいけないという思想の背景に戦争体験があるか、これ難しい、語るのが難しくて面白いのは集団創作だから、そのウルトラマンという形を借りながら毎回その脚本家と演出家が違うじゃないですか。もちろん柱になっている方たちは何人かいるから、飯島さんが作るウルトラマンと実相寺が作るウルトラマンってやっぱ明らかに違うから面白いっていう のはあるんですよね。でウルトラマンの存在とかウルトラマンが戦う理由も含めてですけど、怪獣が現れる理由もそうですけども、毎回いろんな角度から描かれていくから、そこがあんまり一つの理由に集約されないっていう、だからこそ長く続いたっていう気はするんですよね。ただ中心になって書かれているのがウルトラマンは金城さんだし、この後引き継いでいく上原さんも沖縄出身だから、やっぱどこかベースにその当時の沖縄と大和の関係みたいなもので、そうなるとやっぱベースには沖縄の戦争の体験がよく反映するだろうし、そういうものが明確にそこの方には流れてたと思います。
Very difficult question. The relation between Ultraman and the war. I think Ultraman is a series that's not produced by any single person, and I guess there are of course going to be writers and directors and people who lead the project, but I think because it's almost this sort of collective effort to produce each episode, there's going to be a lot of different world views in there, and you look at the Izuman era and the Jisoji era, and there's going to be different takes on what Ultraman can do, and people question, well, why is Ultraman fighting? What does the kaiju represent? It's almost different in each series and each episode to a degree. And I think it's because there isn't any single reason, which is why this series was able to withstand 60 years till today. But you think about what's at its core, and I understand the next iteration of Ultraman is going to be spearheaded by Uyen-san, who's also from Okinawa. So I'm sure there's going to be some kind of dynamic or relationship that's explored between Okinawa and Yamato or old Japan, and how that experience and the relationship between the two territories, so to speak, evolved. And I think perhaps that's something that is a through line across the generations.
Thank you.
And it became this universal thing. And I think the same thing happened with Uji Tsuraya, is things that he was influenced by, and as Koreeda-san also said, is that this collective mind of people and all their experiences coming together to tell a story of a character that you can aspire to. He's not human, he's beyond human. So he's something that you can look up to. As Guillermo said, it's God-like, he's like a god. So, but he also has mistakes, he's not perfect. And the commonality of those things in wanting to become better and wanting to be a better being, not just a better person, I think is why the stories are so timeless. And they've stuck to that for the most part in all the series. And I think it's why it's lasted so long.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I think Ultraman shows us that the gift that we all possess as humans, and that gift is empathy, and then finding balance when there is conflict. He steps forward and faces these conflicts with courage, and protects the Earthlings, like against all the kaiju and aliens that are threatening them, and he's showing us the value that we all possess. And so, like from a viewer, from being who we are, to watch a character that's so perfect from the land of light and tell us we're worth fighting for, there's something special about that. So,
Thank you.
でも安野さんが言ってたことと同じになっちゃうんだけど、やっぱもう原体験として刷り込まれちゃってるから、一番物心つくかつかないかの頃に見せられて見ていたものっていうのから多分もう抜け出せないみたいな、それはすごく大きい。しかもそれが子供番組なんだけれども、大人が本気で作っていたっていうことが多分僕の中にも届いてるかと思っていて、インタビューで出てこられたそのバルタン星人の生みの親の飯島敏弘さんという方と、亡くなる前の年にお会いする機会があってお話を聞いたときに、彼はそのバルタン星人を最後宇宙船ごと星線のところに持っていって、公式的にはワープだって説明されてましたけど、爆発させてしまう結末を選んでしまったことを、60年経っても後悔してて、その後悔 その後悔というかその食材のようにいろいろと作品がその後作られるんですよね。で要するに子供に向かってその私のジェノサイドを見せてしまったっていうことを要するに自分が作ったものに60年経ってもまだいろんな感情を持たれてるっていうことにすごく感動しちゃった。でここまで本気で子供と向き合おうとしていた大人が作ったものだから自分はこれだけ深く影響を受けてるんだなと思ったっていう個人的な体験としてはもうそれが本当にスペシャルで、ウルトラマンが特別な理由はそういうことなんです。
What makes Ultraman special? It might sound like I'm echoing what Anno-san had said in the doc, but I think for my generation, it was just part of society, it was part of your surroundings, it was woven into our childhood. So I think it's almost impossible to peel apart from us, however hard we may try. And I think the reason that is the case is because it's a show that was intended for kids, but one that grown-ups gave 120% into producing. So you look at it from any angle, and it has very deep themes that I think are thought-provoking even to this day. And I think I had a chance to talk to Ijima Toshiro-san, who's the Belton. And he said, in the end, they take him across the horizon and he warped somewhere, but that was in fact a metaphor for a nuclear bomb. And it explodes. And I think what he had said is 60 years even after writing that scene and then producing that scene, he still regrets portions of it that he made many pictures afterwards, but in one of his works, he had this message that implied genocide to something that kids will be watching. And I think 60 years later, it still has a very emotional, sort of poignant relationship to everyone who saw it, even myself. It still moved me, and I remember that. And I think the fact that adults making something for kids that has thought-provoking elements is what makes Ultraman special for me. And that's me speaking more from my own experience, but I think that's why it's special.
Thank you very much. Sorry to have asked you a big question for short answers, but
We were discussing earlier the episode with Gawaronen where the kid does the drawing on the side of the concrete pipe and it comes to life. And when you watch any of the episodes, it's amazing how beautifully directed they are. It opens with a shot where you're shooting past kids and there's a little girl framed by their elbows. And then there's so many great shots, and you saw some of the early episodes, they really took their time. And at that time, they had a lot of money to make the show, and you can see the time that they had to be thoughtful in their approach of where they placed the camera, how they moved the camera. Those are things that the technical aspects of the show were incredible, but also when you're a kid, you're in it just for the fighting monsters. Like, that's what you want to see. But as you get older, you start to understand the deeper meanings of the episode. And going back to that Gabanon episode 18, you just have this drawing that becomes a kaiju, and all it's doing is snoring. It's just sleeping in the middle of the city, which I wonder if Anno-san was inspired to have Godzilla just sleeping in the middle of the city and Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, right.
But then the Triple SP just starts attacking them. It's really brutal. It's kind of heartbreaking. But Ultraman comes in, takes the creature off to space so it can become a star. There's a beauty in that I think is really inspiring, and those are things that just stick with you.
The first superhero, so of course it has a special place for me in my heart, and once I got to know what he represented, what he fought for, and the goal of like bringing balance and saving human lives, that heroic idea, just kind of that courage that Ultraman encompasses, like, is just so inspiring, and for someone like me, middle child, I had an older brother, raised by a single parent, like, I think Ultraman just like continued to like give me that like hope and courage through my younger years. And then as an adult, rewatching the show and seeing why I was attracted to it, I think it's just the storytelling element of it and the spirit that it conveys, the power of, what it means to save lives and encourage and be being an aspiring hero to inspire the next generation.
セブンとセブンに出てきたアンの隊員というのが好きだったんですけど、僕は。
My favorite is actually Ultra 7, and there's a character in there. Is it Lieutenant Anno? Okay, yeah. Just double checking.
My favorite is Ultraman over Ultra 7. Why did you like Ultra 7?
It's unanimous over here. We love Ultra 7 too.
You do? Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm a minority here.
もちろん怪獣の造形は成田さんのもう本当にスペシャルな、毎回毎回素晴らしい怪獣が出てくるから、ウルトラマンが素晴らしいんですけど、セブンの諸星だのはそもそも基本的に戦うことにずっと苦悩してるんですよね。その苦悩がとても好みだった。なぜ自分が戦うのかってことを終始問い続けてるんですよ、自分自身。そこがね、たまらなかったですね。それとそのそばにいるアンの隊員がとても好きだったんですけど。
For me, I mean, yes, of course, the original Ultraman, all the kaiju, the designs by Narita-san, I think it's amazing. Every week you get something really fresh. But in Ultra 7, just looking at our heroes and their internal struggle, the struggle of whether they should fight or not, or why they are fighting, I think that really struck a chord with me. That combined with, of course, Lieutenant Ando, who's always nearby our heroes.
セブンの中で、もうちょっとノーマルトの使者っていう会があって、海底都市を作ってる、そこが宇宙からの侵略者が海底に都市を作っていて、地球人を滅ぼそうとしてるっていうふうに思い込んだ地球人が攻撃に行くと、彼らは実は現地球人で、私たち地球人によって海底に追いやられた人たちだったってことに気がつくんですけど、それでも攻撃して全滅させてしまうっていう回があるんですよ。ノーマルドの使者って言うんですけど、これを見たときに、その前提として自分たちが支配しているこの地球上にさらに遡ってもっと自分たちが実は侵略者で、元に暮らしていた地球人というのは別にいるんだっていうことを、子供番組の中で明確に提示するんですよね。それで私たちはその現地球人を滅ぼす側に置かれるんですよ。で、やった、これで地球は私たちのものだって隊長が叫ぶんですけど、全く気持ちよくないんですよ。勝利を手にしていても。で、そういう回が時々セブン帰ってきたウルトラマンも時々あるんですよね。そこにだんだんそこに引っかかってくるんですよ、子供心に。それがね、すごいいい教育になったと思います。その10歳前後ですけど、すみません。はい。
There is an episode, I don't know what the English translation of this, but if I describe it, I'm sure the two of you can help me out, where there's sort of a subterranean, or a city they built underneath the sea, and basically the working theory of humans on the surface is that invaders or aliens have built this city and we need to go wipe them out. So, of course, they lead a team to go wipe them out, but they discovered that these were actually humans that were kind of chased to the bottom of the sea by other humans way back in the day. And despite that, these humans go and they say, we need to still attack these guys. So, in a sense, they flip the script and make the humans the invaders, and to think that they would have such a deep theme woven into a show intended for kids, I think it was very overwhelming for me back then. And I remember when this leader was able to finally best this city and take it over, wiping out the people living at the bottom of the ocean. He says, yes, we've secured Earth. Earth is ours now. And it didn't feel good at all, even as a kid. Like it was supposed to be this moment of victory, but it felt very weird for me. And Ultra 7 occasionally has episodes like this, very thought-provoking, even as a child. I want to say I was maybe 10 years old, give or take. I don't know if that episode, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we, when we were working with the Tsuburaya team, they would get into things that we would never have been able to understand about certain episodes. And there's one particular episode in the first series that we were told that there was discussion about how much the people of Okinawa were affected during the war, and then there's an episode in the first season that's actually talking about the Ainu people and kind of the discrimination that's been kind of shown against them. And Eiji Tsuburaya was told by TBS that they would not air the episode, and he insisted that he was not going to cut it. And that, to me, those kinds of messages, again, that you don't get when you're a kid, but you learn later, and that Tsuburaya-san fought for those things, to have those messages in a show. I call it hiding vegetables in chocolate. It's, you make it look like candy, but there's nutrition in it, and I think that's what Tsuburaya-san was so good at.
いや影響というよりは今のドキュメントの中にでも小島さんが言ってたその、なんだろう絶望させない終わりで、人間に絶望して終わらないっていうなんかそういうことをやっぱり大人がものを作るときに子供がもし子供が見たときに人間を諦めないようにしたいっていうそういうそれをヒューマニズムと呼ぶならばヒューマニズムなんですけどそういうものが根底にあるっていうことは多分この子供の時に見ていたウルトラマンのシリーズから学んだことだったりすると思いますし最初に見てた当時は気づかなかったけれども繰り返し自分が成人していくプロセスで見直した時にというか明確に最初にそのことに自分が気づくのは帰ってきたウルトラマンというウルトラマンシリーズの、9を入れないとすると3作目なんですけどもその時期に見た作品の影響がすごく大きく今も残っていてそれはやっぱりその世界を二元論で見ないっていう正義と悪の二項対立で世界を捉えないっていうようなことをウルトラマンから学んだっていうことじゃないかなと思うんですよね。一番大きいのは世界の見方を学んでるっていうことだと思います。
I mean, in my case, I would say, unlike some of the other directors, it was not so much the visual expression, visual cues for me, and Kojima-san kind of hints at it in the doc as well. But you don't want your films or anything that you do to end in despair for humanity. And especially when thinking about we as grown-ups or adults making something that kids or the next generation might see. You don't want that generation to give up on being human in a way. So I don't know if you would call that humanism. And I feel that at my core, that's something that the Ultraman series has taught me. And it's not something that I realized the first time I saw the show. I think rewatching it again as an adult myself, there are different perspectives and lenses that you put on this series. And I think it was Ultraman Returns, I don't know what the English translation is, but the third installment of the series, that really affected me, and I think it transformed the way I viewed the world. It's not just binary, it's not good and evil. So I would say that that really changed my own worldview.
Hi, John.
Hello, hi.
John
Yes.
Ultraman. Thank you very much. I was wondering the difference between your animation director and director for an anime, like a regular director. They have you on the title on IMDb. It says animation director, and then you have director and Ultraman Rising.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's maybe it's still early. Maybe they haven't gotten it right. And IMDb doesn't have my birthday right, so.
Oh my God, they don't? Okay, well.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people can still celebrate you. And then starting out as a storyboard artist, do you notice that directors are a growing trend from this field? And why do you think studios are open to that?
Well, when I was storyboarding for a director one time, and I was told that storyboarding isn't just storyboarding; you're actually directing. You're actually directing the scene or sequence, because you're looking at what the frame covers.
Yeah.
And you're working with a visual narrative,
Right.
and so even if you have characters talking, you have to compose a shot. You have to arrange the shots in a way that adds or amplifies to the narrative.
Is that exciting for you? Like, there's
Absolutely.
Because directors are not just coming from film school. Being a director, they have a lot of skills. When you did storyboard artist, did you ever think you were going to direct, or you already had the plan?
Yeah, I didn't plan to be a director. I didn't think I'd ever reach that role. I started off wanting to become an animator, a traditional animator, especially for like Disney when I was young. And by the time I was graduating college, the technology or the industry has changed where it became computer animation. And I tried to learn computer animation. It was so technical, and I wanted to keep drawing. So I switched gears and pursued storyboarding.
Oh, that's so talented that you can just change up your talent.
Well, it's still drawing, but then I had to build up another skill set and understanding the visual narrative,
Well, what was it like meeting Shannon, or you already knew Shannon beforehand, before you guys co-directed?
Oh yeah, I went to college with Shannon.
Are you serious?
And we were even roommates.
Oh my God.
And so we've known each other for a long time, and that's why it was just natural for us to work together on Kubo.
That's so special.
And then of course a previous version of Ultraman and Ultraman. I can't speak to the original show and what the approach was, but they do have their signature moves and also special moves, like the Specium Beam. And so when we were exploring our film, we wanted to give a nod to all the special moves that we've seen and explored through their series, and then add our little special touch to it.
Yeah, and what's that thing called when he does that thing?
Oh, it's a Specium Beam.
Oh, okay.
And then so our Ultraman Rising has our combo move that's never been seen before, and if you haven't seen it, tune in to our movie on Netflix and you'll see.
What's your handle?
My
if you
handle?
want people to bother you and
People can follow me on Instagram. It's just John Aoshima, or at John Aoshima, spelled JOHNAOSHIMA.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for this short interview with OG YOLK Podcast. Thank you so much.
Okay,
man.
thank you.